content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you.
What's good, everybody? What's crack-a-lackin', man? I'm GG, man, and you tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chasers, man. Now, you know, before I get things started, man, the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to all the members of the Green Gorilla channel, man. You know, and I know I ain't been here for a minute, man, so I apologize, but, you know, I'm back at it like a crack addict, so anyway, man, let me get to that business, man, so I can move on to the proceedings this evening. I want to give a shout out to Raiz Muajid, Michael Ross, Alan Wiley, The Face, Lee Ways, Mantis on Break, Electrician 480, Lord Hamal, Life of Commerce, Apex Prowler, Julius Ferguson, Truth 7360, Jay Cleveland Green, Jay the Beano Advocate, Herbert Lewis, D. Scott, Marvin Evans, Lotus Eater, Rogus Son, Brotherly Love 215, L. Fry, Timothy Blewett, Jeffrey Speed, Marvin Battle Jr., Mark Holt, Pete Rock 496, John J., the IDP Expressions, Afro Troop TV, Adam Tahuti, BGS Ibmore, Ignatz Mouse, Brian Peace, Papa Didas, Scott Haywood, Black Uru Strikes, Dr. Tree 33, Honeycut L, Broken Blade, Supertech 77 Base X, Brian McMurray, Karen S, Anthony Davis, Artisan MC, Damon Brown, Donnell 360, Seven Coast Dojo, Pulpit 28, Charles Rogers, Rick Ross, Sandra Jean 955, Charles Gilmore 3, Patricia Colley, Greg, Barry Little, Mr. Valentino, Jason Hales, Black Men Being Brutally Honest, Cameron 87, Doc LaRock, J. Charles, Mark Swift, I Collard, Donald Watts, HipHop.ca TV, Coach DC, Old Soul Chief, Mr. Blue Collar, Barnolas, I'm Just Jules, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Mr. Heat, Sir Anthony, ML Law, Universal 178, Rasheed Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C-Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, Aaron Infinite, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Chalon Jakala, Hostile Adept, W. Para 1, and I can't forget my brother in heaven, Forrest Windu. Big up to y'all, man. I appreciate your support and your help, man. You know, so big up to y'all, man. Straight up, man. And on the Patreon side, I want to give a shout out to I Am the Light of My Father, Waffle Weave, Lamont Latimer, William Joyner, Rufus Winfield, Darnell Smith, Excalibur, Jason Warren, Anu 219, Pursuer Prisoner Taz, Dragon 59, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, and the Sangwa. Big up to y'all as well, man. You understand? And look here, man. If you want to support the Green Gorilla channel, man, and become a member, well, here's how you do it, man.
What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless.
All right, man, I'm back. You know what I'm saying? And again, I apologize for, not being here as often as I can be. Some things have been going on, man. Sometimes you got to handle personal business, but I promise, man, I'm going to be back at it more. And I want to give a shout out to Ricky Dawson. Thank you for, becoming a new member or, redoing your membership. Appreciate that. And thank you, Mr. Blue Collar, for your kind donation. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Straight up. I appreciate that. I am back, baby. I'm back. You better believe it. I ain't went nowhere, man. I'm back. I really ain't went nowhere. And I want to also give a shout out to Hootie Ra. Thank you for your donation, brother. Appreciate that. He says, I'm glad you're addressing this Massa situation. I know you're going to drive the point properly. Indeed, sir. But thank you for the donation, man. Indeed, I am. Indeed, I am. So look here, man, before I get to that, I just want to say, some things about some other things because I've been gone for quite a bit of time and I feel they need addressing, so let me do that, man. Let me take care of that business before I get to this business. So look, man. So the first thing I want to talk about is this Tashina Arnold tweet. She put out a tweet and asked a simple question. And when she asked the question, the termagants came out of the woodwork like roaches thirsting after freshly spilled crumbs, bruh. Straight up, they came out of the woodwork like flies on shit. And you know who the anti-black termagants are. They're man-haters. And many of these people will not stop in their attempt to emasculate black men because it's been indelibly planted in their psyches by Western culture, in fact, to do so, to disrespect us. My prescription to you is, man, not all of these ladies, but a lot of these ladies, man, you got to let them go, bruh. You got to move them to the side, man. Push them to the curb, bruh. Because to be quite frank, man, many of these women only see you as a resource or a come up. Even when they have careers and resources of their own, they still feel entitled to be provided for, protected, even as they demand career, financial, social, and political autonomy. In essence, they want what they earn and what you earn. They want social and political equality and for men to pedestalize them or to respect them as if they were men. They want their cake and they want to eat it too, man. My prescription to you fellas, man, let these people go, bruh. Let them go. Straight up. Let them go, bruh. Shout out to Julius Ferguson with the $5 donation. He says, hey, man, Dr. GG is always on point. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Now, another thing about this, man, if they don't expect you to out-earn them, some of these lovely ladies out here, they expect you to be a concubine serf. Or as Dr. Tiasan Johnson puts it, a husband's son. Someone who will take orders and follow directives because, damn it, she's smarter, more educated, and more skillful in navigating the white world. But it's not really a skill, is it? To play life on the novice level, like a video game. To go under the radar. To be perceived as non-threatening. While you, a black man, public enemy number one, you play life on the most difficult level of all. One in which if there's any slip-ups or mistakes, you can die. You can fucking die, bro. You can die. And while it's fashionable nowadays to talk about femicide or black femicide, if you look at the numbers, and I'm not going to go over the numbers right now, I'm not putting up no charts, so I done been over this so many damn times. If you look at the data, the claims that a lot of these termagants are making don't stack up. Clearly, black men and boys are dying from violence at higher rates than black women and girls. So when can we stop the bullshit? I mean, for real. When can we stop the bullshit, man? That's all I'm asking. Or is it just a social expectation that we, black men, die for the sake of others in some sort of self-abnegating act of sacrifice so other people can get some goddamn book deals, corporate advertising deals, and buy houses and shit? Come on, man. I mean, even black boys are expected to do this shit for their own mothers, to be engaged in self-abnegating, self-sacrificial acts. And black boys are being guilted into doing this backwards shit, which I consider to be a perversion of nature, man. I mean, think about it. When is the last time you heard a white boy on television talk about how he got his mother out of the trailer park and bought her a house and made sure all of her bills were paid and shit like that? Come on, man, when? And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, bro. I'm not saying that some, white boys who get rich don't, set their mamas out or whatever, but when is it a cultural norm for children to take care of their fucking parents, man? I mean, I can see when they get old to the point where they can't take care of themselves because, they say once an adult, twice a child. And I get that. I can understand that when they become infirm and they can no longer take care of themselves. However, when a woman or man, a father or a mother, are at the prime of their lives, why in the fuck is it a cultural norm, especially in the black community, for the children to take care of their parents, man? What the fuck is that? What is that, man? I see you out there. Keep it 100, bruh. You gotta holler at me, man. I done already left the invite out there. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could join in, have, participation in the conversation. You understand? But anyway, why are black boys, being guilted into this shit? Why? Why? This is some backward shit. And okay, so look. Look, think about it. I just want you to think about it. This is what's happening, right? Black boys or young adults, black men really, in their young years, in the prime of their years, when, typically, historically, they're supposed to be finding wives and establishing households of their own, right? Why they're expected to do the same shit for their mothers that they're supposed to be doing for their own fucking wives, man? How? Why? Who has this as a cultural norm, man? Except for us. So look, let me say this, man. So there were a lot of responses to this tweet. You dig? A whole bunch of, responses to the tweet. And, most of them were like, well, what about us? And what about what black men have done to our image? And it's not our responsibility to protect y'all image and so on and so forth. Man, you go look at the tweet, man. It's still up. Tashina ain't taking it down. But I think it's a legitimate question. And here are my answers, man. I got 10 answers. It ain't really exhaustive, but it's just a prima facie knee-jerk reaction to the question. Okay? What I would, think that women could do if they really actually wanted to, basically help black men in their journey through the rigorous place that we call the United States of America, man. Number one, and this is very important, man. Stop preventing black fathers from having access to their goddamn children, bruh. That's the first thing, man. Stop preventing black fathers from having access to their children. Because at the end of the day, only a foolish woman would keep a father away from his children. We already know the data on this. We're talking about the likelihood of going to prison, failure in school, emotional and psychological problems. We already know what the effects of this are. But yet and still, I can do it all by myself. I don't need no man. I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody to help me. I don't need nobody. And look, if you think this has to do with black male abandonment, you're wrong. Quick fact.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. It's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
So there you have it, bruh. There you have it, man. You see it. This is like done in the early 90s, late 80s. That video right there was made. Now, if you want to stop black male emasculation, one of the first things you can do is that. Number two, stop driving black men or dragging black men through family court so that you can have your way or no way. That's the second thing you can do. The third thing you can do is to start supporting legal initiatives that grant fathers 50-50 custody of their children right off the bat. Dr. Tia Johnson recently did a show on that. Go look at the show, man. And you'll see we need to be behind that. Women and men need to be behind that. Bottom line. Oh, shit. Here my dude, Marcus Aurelius, what's cracking with you, baby? Marcus, can't hear you, dog. What's cracking?
Here I go. What's popping? What's
popping with you, man? What's popping with you, man? Glad you decided to come on in and fuck with me for a second, bro.
No doubt. Just walked in from the heat and shit.
Where you at? You in Cali or you on the east or the west?
Vegas, man.
You in Vegas? Okay, yeah. I know it's hot as hell, and in Vegas right now.
Shit, it's about that. I've been listening. I've been paying attention.
Okay, so the fourth thing, stop calling the fucking police or threatening to call the police on black men over some petty bullshit. much of which many of you ladies initiate. Straight up. If you're sincere, if you're actually sincere, woman up, put your granny panties on, and if you start a fight, don't start one you can't finish. Stop fucking slapping, punching, kicking, biting your man and fucking destroying his property because you can't fucking handle some emotional issue you got. Stop acting like a fucking toddler. Okay? I'm just saying. Number 5. Stop depicting black men as sexist, rapists, abusers in books, in television, and in movies. How about that? Because we see a lot of movies nowadays with men as the bad guy. It's always the man that's the bad guy. And he's always the bad guy because he wants to have power and control over the woman. Never in the reverse. Hardly ever. Like you might see, you remember the old movie, man, that Martin Lawrence did, Thin Line?
Yeah.
You know, but we don't see those kind of depictions very often. It's always the man and the woman trying to run from the man.
That was a comedy, though.
Yeah, okay.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, never the dramatic shit. I don't think that there's been a film, a dramatic film, that seriously dealt with, a woman being abusive. Definitely not a black one. Definitely not.
Well, okay, the only movie that you had where a black woman was abusive was Precious.
Nah,
but her partner, but her black male partner, the mama's, what's the chick name? She done slimmed down now. I forget her. They call her Mama. Monique, yeah. She, basically had a screwed up boyfriend. Because he was abusing her too. You know what I'm saying? They was both abusive.
But they weren't the focus. What I'm saying is, give me a film with a black male protagonist who is being abused, kind of like that Enough movie with Jennifer Lopez. Give me a black male protagonist, like he is the focus of the film, and he's dealing with abuse from a woman or women throughout the movie, and that's what the main plot line is.
Yeah, well, good luck with that one. But
right.
All I'm asking for right now is to stop the motherfucking distorted narrative that all abuse is basically one-sided. It's just men beating the shit out of women, and they beating them up because they don't want nobody else to have access to the pussy. Ain't that the reason why it is? I mean, come on now. Ain't that the reason what it is most of the time? Like, why are you wearing this dress? Why are you going here? Why are you going there? Like, women don't do that shit on a consistent basis.
Bitch, this water's not cold enough.
Like, how many times have women told you, if you've been partnered up with one, but whatever the case may be, I'm just asking it's a fucking rhetorical question, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How many times have you been in a relationship and your girlfriend like, where you been? Why you been out so long? Why you ain't call me? Why you ain't answering the phone?
It's been a while, but
Why you wearing that? Why you gotta put that on? Why you putting the cologne on? Who you going to see? Let me see your phone.
Who is these hoes?
I'm just saying, like, isn't that like a form of control? Like a form of like being nettlesome, asking, some controlling ass questions. Like, ain't that what the men in the movies do? But how often do women do that shit? You feel me? Anyway.
Yeah.
This is for the academicians out there. Right? Reevaluate your research methodology. And stop engaging in confirmation bias in your gender theory. So what I'm saying is, in essence, use data and falsification as a research principle instead of continuous propaganda and ideology.
Fuck your feelings.
personal narratives and non-verifiable moral theory in scholarship. Cut it out, man. That shit would never fly in any other research program. But it flies in this one, though. We got another brother here, man. I'm going to see what he got to say real quick. His name is Najee. What's happening, bro?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, I found the channel. I was listening to Dr. Hassan Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I ran across it, but you know, you guys had some good content. I think what video that I was looking at that I enjoyed. It was the gentleman that was on stage kind of battling the black feminists. I
don't know which one you're referring to, but in order to keep this going though, like, you know, do you got a larger quick point that you want to make, man? You know what I'm saying?
No. I just kind of like came in, but as far as I came in on the tail end. So what I wanted to more or less like talk about as far as like, you know, you're talking about like kind of like the imbalance or the, you know, how they make it seems like, you know, one gender is more bossy than the other. Like, you know what I mean? Something like you talked about as far as like men putting demands on women as far as like where they're going, what they're dressing. And, you know, women do the same thing. I mean, I'm in a relationship and, you know, my lady, she bossy as hell. So it's not a one-way street. And
exactly.
Unfortunately, and even like I was to give you like the deviate, I was on a Twitter space. And this was during the time that I think the gentleman who got killed by the white woman, the African dude. So so I went on the space, right? So I'm going on the space, and they was like, should black women, cape for this particular man who was killed? So my answer would have been, if asked, it would have been like, no, do what y'all feel. But you guys do have sons, y'all have brothers. So if y'all want to basically take up the cause based on that, then cool, if it's about justice. But anyway, so I came up there and I was just basically saying like, I'm in a relationship. I have a little sister, helped her through college. And, basically like all men aren't really kind of like off that, you know what I mean? Meaning like, cause I'm like 43. So I said, I came up in an age where on the East Coast in New Jersey, there was a time where we would be riding and we would see like a domestic dispute going on between a brother and a sister. And we would hop out like, hey, sister, you all right? Like we used to do that. So I said that, and I didn't realize I was in like a whole kind of feminist space. And they attacked me because I didn't dogpile on black men collectively. So they wanted to hear. So they was like, basically, I don't know what you're talking about. All men, men are, they use the words misogynoir. I wasn't really.
Yeah, misogynoir. That means, misogyny means hatred of women, but misogynoir is a term that basically, means black, because noir or noir is black. So ultimately, I get your point, brother. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, at the end of the day, man, all I'm asking for is for the research to be reflected in the art. I'm tired of moral invectives. I'm tired of personal narratives, because men have these narratives as well. It's not just something that women undergo. Right. But we're not being balanced, or we're not being empathetic to men. So if you want to stop emasculating men, start telling the whole truth. Don't tell partial truths. Tell the whole truth.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So, my brother, I'm going to piece you out because I got to get through this. You know what I'm saying? My boy Marcus is a long-time contributor and collaborator, so I'm going to rock with him. But at the end of the day, man, thank you for coming through, man, and stating your opinion, brother. Appreciate that, man. Okay? Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, man, all I'm trying to say is, number 5, women, they're scholars. Stop being, basically non-erudite. Be erudite. Use standard research methodologies in the proliferation of your theory. That's all I'm asking for. You understand? If you want to stop emasculating black men. Right? Number 7. Oh, that was 6, actually. Number 7, stop expecting your sons to be the man of the fucking house. And inspire them to develop their own houses and develop their own sense of independence and autonomy apart from you. Stop being a mother hen over your young adult boys. Stop that shit. Number 8, and it's gonna hit some nerves for the letter people or whatever. But stop cheering for black men and boys to become effeminate and to choose to be women and girls and to wear women and girls clothing and shit like that. Like, stop encouraging that shit. That shit is not heroic. It's not cute, man. As far as I'm concerned, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, man, in a lot of cases, this is a programmatic plan on behalf of white culture in general to effeminize and to emasculate black men. Stop trying to promote that shit like, okay, well, we're going to have a gender fluid childhood for my children, and I'm going to encourage them to wear skirts, my sons, and my daughter to play with Tonka toys and shit like that.
Right.
It's a political plan to neuter black men and to neutralize us as a threat. And I understand the sentimentality of you wanting to protect your boys, don't want them to get killed by the police or to die, senselessly in the streets or whatever. But at the same time, you stop promoting this shit. Now, if the child, just refuses or whatever, okay, well, that's a whole thing altogether. But to promote the whole thing, well, my kids are going to be gender fluid. Like, what the fuck does that mean, man? To me, it doesn't mean the emasculation of black women, because there is no such thing, right? What it does is it masculinizes black women and it emasculates black men. And that's what the point of it all is.
That's the goal.
Number 9, man. Stop expecting men who are not the fathers of your children to perform the dirty work of those children's fathers.
They only want the financial duties.
But without the ability to actually discipline and to guide the children's actions.
That's right.
Stop that shit. That shit is emasculating. That means I'm the boss. All you can do is pay. So when it's a servile action to be performed, like take them to school, take them to catch the bus, take them to the mall, go buy them some hair weave or some shit like that. Pay, but don't tell them what to do.
Right. That's my job.
That's my job. I'm the big boss in this house. That's something you can do if you want to stop emasculating black men. And 10, and this is important as well, take responsibility for your own fuck-ups. And stop using black men as scapegoats to preserve the integrity of your own fucking images. Because if you got to throw other people under the bus in order to make yourself look good, when you're already perceived as non-threatening, then you're doing more than emasculating black men and boys. You're serving as a direct agent of white supremacy against your own goddamn fathers, brothers, and sons. Straight up. And you know what's fucked up about it is, man, it's gotten to the point where you got grown-ass women, man, who are calling the police on their prepubescent sons. Oh. Instead of their fathers, calling the police on their prepubescent sons.
Massa.
Instead of their fathers in order to discipline the boys. You may as well be tying a noose to your own son's neck and organizing a lynch mob to have the fruit of your womb, your own progeny, hung from a tree, turning them into strange fruit, man. Stop doing that shit. That's how you can stop it. That's just a cursory or a prima facie or a knee-jerk reaction. That's how you can start. And also, sometimes, listen instead of talking. Because we've been talked to for the past 40 or 50 years over and over and over again by how fucked up we are. Take responsibility for how fucked up y'all can be. And stop trying to pin the tail on the donkey. Stop trying to put us in the dunce hat. Stop trying to use us as scapegoats and to make us the repository of all evil in the world, man. Cut that shit out. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about, the Tashina Arnold shit. Because I know I haven't addressed it, you know? I haven't. I've been gone for a minute. The next thing I want to address, is this shit right here, right? Let me make myself bigger, man. Let me make myself bigger, man.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so the Kevin Samuels Future situation. Okay?
Uh-oh.
Now, you know, recently, you know, Future was interviewed by some magazine or whatever the case may be. And in the interview, he basically said he didn't know who Kevin Samuels was. And if he knew who he was, he wouldn't have hired him for his video because he's perceived as toxic.
What?
Straight up, man. Not Future, man. Not Future, man. But yes, Future.
Well,
See, so look, first of all, like, K. Williams, I believe you right about this. Future is fucking capping. He lying through his fucking teeth, bruh. You're lying.
wow.
You're lying, bro. Straight up. Word to the mother, man. Actual factuals, you lying, man. You know who the fuck that dude was. You ain't gonna have no dude in your video that you have no awareness of, no knowledge, no understanding of at all. Period? Who does that, man?
Ain't they
Especially,
They both in Atlanta, ain't they?
Yeah, they both in the ATL, man. You mean to tell me this dude don't know nothing about Kevin Samuels, man, at all?
Knock it off.
Come on, man. First of all, stop lying. Cut it out.
Knock it off.
Cut it out. Cut it out, bruh. Okay? And look, so he says, you know, I'm already perceived as toxic. So putting us together would, you know, lean towards the perception that I'm actually toxic. So it's a double dose of toxicity. Yeah. I'm already perceived as toxic. Right. So, you know, look, here's the deal, man. And the manosphere wants to be mainstream, but when motherfucking the heat come in the kitchen, motherfuckers want to leave the kitchen and go take a smoke break outside.
What's up with all this? Future doesn't have a clean brand to clean up. His whole brand is toxic.
Exactly. But now here's what I will say, okay, about what he further said. He did say that the women he was in relationships with that were calling him toxic were actually toxic towards him. And I can believe it. Like that's something I can believe.
Yeah.
But he never states it in his music. All he talks about is I'm fucking hoes, I'm wearing 2 different clothes designers at the same damn time.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, and then like the whole pretext of it all is, you know, I'm so, you know, I got a problem, I got a habit because I like to buy beautiful women's shopping sprees. I like to drop 2 or 3 million on a shopping spree. Man, cut out. That's clown shit, bruh. Sorry. No disrespect, man. But look, man, that's clown shit, bruh.
What does he gain from disavowing Kevin Samuels? If anything, he should have doubled down on it. Like I'm thinking that he has Kev in his video, like you said, like to lean into the stereotype. I mean, it's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is, I don't care what you think of me.
I think the quote of the moment is being a fuckboy is acceptable toxic. Kevin Samuels accountable is toxic. You get what I'm saying? So I think having fucking different women and buying them shit, and then going to the next one and buying them some shit. Because we live in a thought culture, man. Bottom line, Instagram models are the new shit to be now. These are role models now, okay? And so, because these are the new role models, right? Doing shit, serving them, giving them what they want is considered to be acceptable. However, holding women accountable for their actions and trying to get them to change their perspectives, that's non-acceptable. That's really the patriarchy, right? So I think he hit it on the head. I think Lotus either hit that on the head. I think he hit that one on the head. But anyway, I mean, think about it. One of the main reasons why black men continuously get shitty deals is because they have no backbone and are more worried about style and reputation than they are substance. They're more worried about their branding and their imaging than they are about justice and what's right. And not just for themselves, but for those that will come after them. I mean, man, quite frankly, man, I just don't believe that most celebrities and athletes are really cut out for the masculinist path. Because they have to look out for the bottom line. And being a masculinist is not good for the bottom line. And this goes for a lot of these fucking content creators out here who basically have come out recently and said, I'm leaving the manosphere. I'm leaving the manosphere. I'm leaving the manosphere. I don't want to be associated with the manosphere anymore.
Yeah, but then their next video will be black women this and black women that.
These guys are worried about their money, man. Yeah, and worried about their advertisement and worried about whether or not their videos are going to get flagged by YouTube.
But that's like saying you're not a white supremacist and then your next video is some white supremacist shit. It doesn't make sense. If you're worried about those things, then you do different content.
Hey, man.
I just watched a video today. I won't say the content creator's name, but it was mentioned in the chat about, Rebecca Lynn Pope and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you're still doing manosphere content, but you say that you're not in the manosphere. How do you do that? I don't do porn, and then you throw out a new porn.
That's like Too Short when he turned 30. I'm gonna stop rapping, trying to amp up your sales and shit. Everything is about branding and imaging. Ain't nothing about being substantive and being like direct. It's about how can I boost my image and boost my my visibility profile. How can I get people to buy in? So they'll say anything for a click or a like or a contribution. And I'm tired of that bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? You see Future doing it. I got to worry about my branding. I'm already perceived as toxic. So I don't want nobody else to to see me with somebody else who's perceived as toxic. Like here's the deal, dog. Mm-hmm. Here's the real deal, man. Stop giving a fuck about being perceived as toxic.
Toxic is what sells his records. He ain't about to sell Sprite.
I'm just saying at the end of the day, stop being worried about being perceived as toxic. Because truth be told, you're going to be perceived as toxic any goddamn way, whatever the fuck you do.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. If you're too nice, you're toxic and clingy. If you're too distant, then you're emotionally toxic. If you are authoritative, you're controlling and patriarchal. Whatever you do, you're going to be perceived as toxic anyway by somebody who already has a preconceived notion in their mind that you're toxic to begin with.
I don't get it though. Future sells on toxicity. He's not Most Def. He's not Tyler. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why he would disavow that. His whole brand sells on toxicity.
You know what, man? Let's just be frank about this shit, man. You know, I'm just, you know, like, let's just be honest. Okay? Let's just be absolutely fucking honest. This nigga scared. He's scared, man.
I believe it.
This nigga scared. He's scared, bro.
Somebody got in his ear.
This nigga scared, man.
He wasn't gonna get the Pepsi commercial.
Hey, man.
Yo, hey, man, pull your skirt down, B.
Pull your skirt down, B. Pull your skirt down, B.
Crazy.
Pull your skirt down, man. At the end of the day, man, pull your skirt down, bro. Now, you know, I don't want to take too long, man, you know, and get into the main menu, the main course on the menu, okay? Because I'm already 50 minutes in. I want to talk about this My Massa shit, man. Have you heard about this, bro?
Somebody mentioned it on one of my videos. You know, BGS was on. What's going on, BGS?
What's up, BGS? What's good, bro? What's happening out there, BG?
So somebody briefly mentioned it. Now, if I'm correct, something about, you know, black women dating their white boyfriends and playing the Massa game or some shit like that.
Yeah, bro. That's what it is, man. Hey, man, you know I already got some shit to show about it. Okay? So here's what these young motherfuckers are doing. Mostly young motherfuckers, though. But it's some older ones too, but mostly some young motherfuckers. This is what they doing on TikTok. Check this shit out now.
Hey, this my massa. 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 This my massa.
Ghetto gaggers. Ghetto gaggers.
Look, bruh. Did you see that, man? So, look, I'm going to let you see it one more time. Okay?
Yes, let's go.
Gonna show it to you one more time.
Hey, this my massa. 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 This my massa.
So in each of the videos, bruh, each of these, because you know TikTok is like short little snippets of things, you know what I'm saying? Like no more than a minute at the most, you know what I'm saying? Like typically, they can go over, but you know, usually there's small little clips of you know, video and shit like that, right? And I got another guy who wants to come up in a second, but I want to get my thought out, right? This shit is disturbing to me. And look, I'm all for a good joke. You know, I'm for a good joke. But really? That's the kind of shit that these new Negroes, especially young black girls, man, they think this shit is funny?
Hey, check this out. We're supposed to be mad at that. Listen to me. Listen to me. And I'm a kind of echo BGS's sentiment that he made on the video the other day, because he said, so what, right? But I'm gonna take it a step further. The more upset we appear to be at that, the more of it you're gonna get. Right now, what we're dealing with is black female behavior for the sake of pissing us off. These things that they're doing, whether it be that, whether it be the bonnets, right now, black female, you know, freedom, their whole movement is anything that pisses off black men, anything that makes us upset. I just did that shit to get you mad, right?
That's like Mace, you know,
The
like
Mace shit. That's right. Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
but look here, bro. Look. I'm not angry at it.
Nah.
I'm gonna tell you what my sentiments are about this shit. Okay? I'm gonna show you a video because the video is gonna give you some indication of what I kind of feel about it.
Okay.
Will you ignorant niggas please shut the hell up? Is this it? This is what I got all those ass whoopings for? I had a dream once. It was a dream that little black boys and little black girls would drink from the river of prosperity, freed from the thirst of oppression. But lo and behold, some 4 decades later, what have I found but a bunch of trifling, shiftless, good-for-nothing niggas?
Hey, man, see, look. Here's the deal, bruh. Here's the real deal, man. I know it's small, right? But that's Carter G. Woodson, man. Okay? He says when you control them, and this works for a woman as well as a man. When you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about their actions. He will find the proper place and will stay in it. You do not need him to lead him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he will protest until one is made for his use.
Right.
His education demands it. He will go to the back. So what you see is pictures of women being grabbed by the neck. And look at the shit again now. In each one of those, it's a woman being grabbed by the throat or the neck and manhandled. By who? Bitch, my massa. It's sad, man. To me, and look, let me just say this. This is an indication to me, a painful indication, that black people are no longer what they once were and probably will never be again.
I think it's been this way for a while, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but it's never been to the point where you got, this is my massa.
This is Loving versus Virginia. See, the thing is, this is, to me, what that is the same as, police brutality. It's on the internet now, right? So now we see it. We see more of it, right? We know that black women looking at white men in this country as the dominant male presence, right?
Yeah.
They've always had, they project that on us, but they've always had these low key, desires, right? But it's not just that. It's also to wave this in the faces of us. If you notice, when we get with women of other races, somebody got to mute.
Yeah, I muted Sir Truth, man. You got to mute that. Go ahead.
When we get with women of other races, it's usually because either we can't find someone suitable in our race, right? Because they refuse to be that, or they won't accept us, one or the other, because most of these girls, when they see guys with other races of women, these are, as soon as you look at these guys, a good amount of them are guys you can immediately see not black women's type, right? But when they go outside of the race, it's not due to the fact that, black men don't want them. That's nonsense. Is and they celebrate it like they won an award when they get a white man, because it's hard for them to get a white man. Now you see what we looked at, they'll even degrade themselves to that point to do it, all to either flaunt it in our face. You know, anything to not be with us. I was telling Adam MGTOW, I said, you know, a lot of these women, you know, it's give me liberty or give me death. Meaning, like they say slavery was a choice. They say being with us is akin to slavery. So what Kanye says, well, slavery was a choice, and people got mad because either you were a slave or you died. They would rather die than be with us, and they see that as slavery. They see that as some sort of liberation. They see being with white men is a, you know, it's an award. They've leveled up, and you've heard the phrase, you know, black women are better off being a servant or a white man's mistress than to be a black man's wife.
It's better to be a white man's whore than to gum on the bottom of a black man's shoe.
Okay,
Massa,
there you go.
Massa.
There you go. And that's,
You know
yeah.
what though? I just want to say this about to all those women in my generation that we just saw on the screen. We already know that's gonna be the future baby mama, a single mother for some black chump who got caught up in my generation. We already know where they going because let's be honest, they in these early relationships with these young white dudes. But when I talk to these, because I actually know these, I know these white dudes. When I talk to these dudes, they talk about these chicks like they're trophies, which they are. And when they get tired of those trophies, which they will discard them like how you do trophies that get old. They're dusty and they're outdated, so you throw that shit in the trash. And that's what's gonna happen to a lot of these divestors, especially these young ones too. And hopefully, well, I ain't even gonna say hopefully, because I'm gonna try to get people on my generation just to basically give them that desertion policy in the military. Like we don't even fuck with that nigga. We don't even look at that person in their eyes when they walk across the street. Like we don't even honor your respect as a human being. Like people like that, I don't even want to honor your respect or acknowledge your presence as a human being. Like you don't even exist. Like if I saw one of those women getting mugged, or stabbed, or raped, excuse my French, based on the YouTube algorithm, I personally would let that shit happen based off their rhetoric. Because how I feel it is, and how I know it to be, is that the game is the game. And if you're going to talk and put yourself out there on the internet, then you open yourself up to all kinds of heinous and erroneous shit to happen to you. And that's just what it is.
Look, let me just say this shit. Again, I like a good joke. I don't have a problem with jokes. But, you know, and I'm not for censorship either. But, you know, I do want to critique this because in my viewpoint, I've already done a show that covered this more intellectually as opposed to emotively. Okay, I've already covered this when I did a show about Frantz Fanon in his book, The Wretched of the Earth, and, you know, the black woman and the white man, okay? And how some, you know, black people, they can be a man or a woman, but in particular, this, you know, phenomena, this My Massa challenge is being performed predominantly by women, okay? And this is a phenomena that, you know, perhaps is more often sought to be attained by black women or any other women from any other race for that matter, if she's from the out group. You want a smatter, a touch, an inkling of something that you feel has been denied to you, namely social and political status and power, right? And you think that you can gain it by engaging in some sort of relationship with the other person who's a member of the so-called predominant group. That is, you know, to you, what your ambition is. Now, first of all, you know, Frantz Fanon is going to say this is psychosis being exhibited. That's what he's going to say. Okay? Like this is some psychotic shit. You know, that's the first thing he's going to say. And then the second thing he's going to say is, you don't couple with someone else in order to attain something outside of your own self. That's not going to work. You're using the white person as an instrument for your own ego.
Oh, yeah, that's true, the vanity.
You don't even love that individual. You love the concept of whiteness. Mm-hmm. You love the concept of, you know, being part of so-called white predominant culture or society, because we've been, basically spoon-fed since our childhood, the idea that they're beautiful, we're ugly. They're industrious, we're lazy and shiftless. They got their shit together and they're civilized, we're savages. Okay? I mean, those are the ideas that are out there. And whether you believe it or not, whether you accept it or not. Okay? So thank you, all the people who have recently contributed before I finish my statement. Rasheed Barnes, Barry Little, shout out to y'all. Shout out to MLR and Mr. Heat, man. Big up to y'all. Appreciate the donations, man. And hit the Cash App up, man. Hit your boy up, man. Support the Green Gorilla channel, man.
Hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Hit me up. And also, big ups to Kareem Austin, man. Appreciate your donation, brother. Appreciate that. But at the end of the day, man, look. Let me show you, man. It's just a quick fact. Black people suffer from this. Black people suffer from this phenomenon. Look, peak game now.
Doll is the black doll. And which one is the white doll?
That one.
Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll? And why is that doll pretty?
Because she's white and he has 2 eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
Which doll looks most like you?
Like me?
Yeah, which one looks like you?
And that one.
Okay.
That doll.
So this is a reality that we're dealing with. Like this is a reality. Whether we admit it or not, whether we walk around it, in waking consciousness as we, navigate our day to day, this is an underlying, unconscious kind of visceral concept or, like a guttural instinct that we have about ourselves that's been given to us by the predominant culture. So, I mean, to me, that's sad to see a baby. And those were babies, man. Mm-hmm. They can't ratiocinate or undergo logical syllogism at that age. I mean, they can perform rudimentary functions like 4 + 4 = 8 and shit like that. But like complex second, third order reflection, they're not capable of doing yet. But they already have it internalized that there's something bad about themselves, something ugly about themselves. This shit don't stop when you become like 20, 25, 30. It don't stop. Especially if you don't deprogram yourself. And this is just an indication. This is why I say black folks are not who they were. Because in the 60s and the 70s, motherfuckers was like, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Now you got motherfuckers, even if they getting disrespected by Asians or whatever the case may be, they still run into the nail shop to get their nails done by these motherfuckers. Or they still going to get that Hawaiian silky shit. Or, what they call it, the creamy crack. Or that hair weave. Because they can't stand, I'm just saying in general, the aesthetic is one in which we're trying to transmogrify ourselves into white folks.
Check this out. It's very interesting that you played that video. I was just discussing that video with somebody, the dog test video. Shout out, yo, what's up, Mr. Z? What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, I seen the car. I was like, yo, that I forgot his name, but I know the
No, I covered a similar video to what to what Green Gorilla did. I covered this subject also, and first, look, my bad. I'm keeping 100. Let me get this out real quick. First, they took the song, the actual original song, obviously, and then cut out because in the song, it was like a trend where it was a bunch of black girls with their black boyfriends, and they was like, "Bitch, who you with my nigga?" And like, the dude will just pop up, and then they'll do their little dance, and then whatever. And so these particular, I guess, divestors, they spliced out where it said "bitch my nigga" and like put in "bitch my massa," and that's where you get the holding of the neck or the holding of the hoodie and whatever. Half of these, you could tell the white dude he didn't really know what was going on. He wasn't aware of this kind of trend thing. That's why you see some of the videos, you see the girl laughing at after the fact. That's number one. Number two, we have a fraying of black men and black women that I think they're using our death to make moves politically and socially, but black men and black women haven't really been, hip to hip, I would argue, for the better part of 50 years. And it's only becoming more and more evident year by year. This whole My Massa challenge, they did this with the Iggy Azalea slave massa thing that she put on her song about 2 years ago. So like this is not recent. They did this a couple years ago also. Yeah. Same kind of concept, surprising their white boyfriend by saying massa, right? So this is black women begging, not just non-black men, let's be very clear, white men specifically, for acceptance and to, like you were saying, Green Gorilla, into the dominant society. And we're gonna see this become even more egregious because, like I said to you before, Green Gorilla, like this is a neoliberal assessment of masculinity and manhood. Black men apparently aren't industrious enough. We haven't built enough. We haven't built Wakanda. We haven't made black women upper middle class Karens. And so they're going to appeal to not Latino men, not Asian men, but white men specifically, so that they can, and these young girls don't necessarily think it's that serious. A content creator screen captured one of the girls that people were, kind of getting on her in her TikTok feed, and she said, "It's not that serious. It's just a joke. If you don't like it, scroll off." So, I'll pause right there.
Again, look, I don't think the racial humor in and of itself is off the board. I would never be for censorship. Okay, I'm not for censorship. I'm not for going back trying to cancel people, because of what they did on TikTok. That's not the point of this. But I am saying it's some cool shit. It is what it is. It's some cool shit. And in fact, quite frankly, divestment in and of itself is some cool shit. It's cool shit. If you want to be actual and factual about it. It's some cool shit. It's a group of women, and men can be on cool shit as well. And that's one of the reasons why I want to put this quote up that Richard Dixon put up there. He says, brothers have bought into white supremacy as well. Talk about creating our own reality and social programming in African countries, and the codependency reveals itself in the responses every time. So this is not a phenomenon. And look, that dial test, you had little boys saying the same shit as the girls. You get what I'm saying? So, like, we can make this about women specifically, but here's my issue with this, right? Here's my issue with this shit as it pertains to black women or, interracial or, relationships, and then trying to, play out some sort of racialized rape fantasy related to it. See, it wouldn't have been funny if your ass was getting manhandled on a plantation and getting slapped upside your fucking head and getting, knocked up, having a mulatto baby. It wouldn't have been funny then. But then some of these motherfuckers, they were set up though. Even in slavery times, you might get some extra pig feet, some hog maws, and some blankets for going to suck off massa. Now, if you want to associate that shit with you being able to actually participate fully in white culture and white society and being embraced and accepted as one of them, y'all go ahead and do that shit. See how it works for you in the long run. See how that shit worked out for you in the long run. And look, here's the shit that's important for motherfuckers to understand. Real talk. Because I put up Carter G. Woodson And it's another quote from him, you know what I'm saying, that I need to, mention, even though I won't put the image up for it. If a race has no history and you're not attentive to the history of your race and it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. That's Carter G. Woodson. Those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching of biography and history. We ain't teaching these kids shit. That's the issue. They're not learning black history. So they think it's cool to get roughed around by My Massa. This shit is foolishness. Because at the end of the day, like you said, I think it was Sir P who said it. Most of these motherfuckers gonna get pumped and dumped down the long haul anyway.
Oh God! And then they're gonna be running. Their ass is gonna be running right back to whatever is left of the community, because it ain't gonna be much of a community. GG. I'm gonna just keep it honest. I mean, were those young girls really Generation Z aged? Were those Generation Z women?
That was young millennials and Gen Z for the most part.
Exactly. And so my whole thinking about it is, see, my mother wouldn't have done no shit like that. My grandmother looked like a white woman, and she wouldn't have done that shit. I mean, my grandmother was able to pass for white. I asked her, I was like, when I was little, my mind was just like one of them little Negroes, hating themselves or whatever. Like, why are you white, Grandma? She was like, boy, I ain't white. I'm black just like you, and don't fucking forget it. And she worked at All Black Hospital, Homer G. Phillips, in St. Louis. But these new Negroes, man, look, we think we are past racism right now. Like, it's over with. Like, race is no longer a factor. But at the same time, we still the least wealthy. We're still the least upwardly mobile. Still the least married. Still the least educated. Still the least respected. Still the most dysfunctional. Still the most producers of bastard children. Still the most incarcerated. And fucking a white person ain't gonna get you past that.
Well,
it ain't gonna get, and it's, look, I can understand if you like the individual, you like them for them. That's cool. I don't care what, like, if you like somebody because you love them, whether you male or female and black or whatever, if you like an Asian person and you want to fuck with them because you like them, whatever the case may be, fine, cool. If you want to date outside your race, fine, cool. I have no problem or issue with that shit. None whatsoever. None. Zero. But don't fucking date somebody from another race because you're trying to run from yours. Because you can't run from it. Because when you look in the mirror, you're going to see yourself any goddamn way. You ain't going to see one of them. You're going to be you regardless. So if the women, you can say, okay, black women have a cultural problem. They're hostile, they're ignorant. Like, I don't like their behavior. They're too bossy. I can see you like saying, I don't want to date a bossy chick. I can see you saying, I don't want somebody that's controlling or someone that's going to hand me over to the police or some shit like that. But don't say, oh, I just want a porcelain woman because they're so beautiful and like my race is so backwards. Fuck who you want to. I'm not saying, man, you can fuck who you want to. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can choose other women all you like, man. Go ahead for it, bro. I'm all for it. I'm for black women doing this shit as well. If you want to fuck a white dude, have at it, man, if that's what you into. No problem on my account, because at the end of the day, I think racism is stupid anyway. I know the history of the shit. I know Blumenbach. I know what Kant said, what Hegel said about the shit. I know, I used to teach it in the classroom. The philosophy of race, like who came up with these categories? And what was the political reasoning for it? Why was it utilized? It emerged right around the time of slavery in order to, basically dissolve the cognitive dissonance in white people for committing horrendous and horrific acts. That's why they came up with the shit. It was a way to basically absolve them of some sort of cognitive dissonance and guilt.
They had to change the classification of the people who they were doing these erroneous acts to. You couldn't consider them human, because if you consider them human, well, I'm a human too. So if I'm doing this to other humans who are just like me, because we can all consider them human, what right would I have to do this to them if I couldn't do this to my? Oh, see, that's the racism thing right there.
Look, it
never made sense from an overall productivity sense, but it always makes sense when you're trying to marginalize and isolate certain groups.
So this is what Sekou, I think Sekou is right about this. We're seeing what the women would do after a city is sacked by an invading force without the actual war.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think that's what you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, we going with the winners here. But at the end of the day, look, all you got to do is study history, man. Like this culture, this one here in particular, the United States. You can say what you want to say about it. It's the greatest place in the world. I love it so much. I like it so much. But this is the repository of white supremacy in the fucking new world. This is the place. This is the place. This is that place that inspired Nazi Germany. That place.
Facts.
This is the
South
place.
Africa apartheid.
This is the place that had less black slaves than anywhere else, because they wanted to maintain this as a white enclave. In Mexico, you had more black people that went to Mexico than you did to the United States, bro.
Yep. The Mexican, the Central American slave trade was even fucking worse. You don't hear nothing about that because they took all that shit out the history books, like straight up. It's American slavery, MLK, civil rights, and then that's the end of it. That's it.
But my larger point is, they had different forms of racial classification, even though it was still retarded as far as I'm concerned, still stupid. Okay? You had like mulattoes, quadroons, octoroons, and all this kind of shit. I mean, all these ridiculous classifications. Okay? But in a lot of instances, like in Mexico, black people have been almost damn near totally absorbed into the native population. I mean, you do have the abuela in the back room, the grandma in the back room. Okay? The black grandma in the back room. That's what they call her, okay? Now, but at the same time, you don't really see black folks being absorbed fully and totally into this population. If it was the case that we were a post-racial culture, we would have been gone. Not by being killed, but by being absorbed into the population through sex.
Yep. 12%.
So you would have like you would have people walking around America looking almost like what you see when you go in Cuba, but with a black-white mix and a Native American mix.
Bruno Mars.
And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that mixing doesn't happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it ain't happening as rapidly as people assume that it should be happening or will be happening. We still got a racial issue in the United States, bro. Most motherfuckers still got to think with the one drop rule. It is what it is.
Why are we calling them divestors? What makes them divestors?
They don't want to have nothing to do with your nigga ass.
The whole divestment. Wait, real quick, Pookie, because what you're saying, the divestor term comes from them wanting to divest. It's initially divesting from black men, but quite frankly, where they're going now, and you see it with the the ones that's kind of ahead of the curve, it's divesting from what they call air quotes Blackistan, right? So it's divesting from the black church, divesting from black men, and potentially divesting from having fully black children. It's starting off with divesting from black men because that's the easiest way to kind of get black women moving along that path with you, right? Their anger and their rage towards whatever dude they wanted in high school that didn't want them, or whatever celebrities piping a non-black woman.
Hey, look here, man. Let me show you something, bro.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna show you a picture, man. If I can, let me see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you a picture, bro. I'm gonna show you a picture real quick.
But here, Gigi, but here's the ironic point as well. They're divesting from the community that they run. I thought we were conquered. I thought black men don't run anything. How could we ruin something that we don't even run?
Bruh.
We have no control over it, but we managed to ruin it.
Asking for logical consistency. That's not. It's not about. This is not about logic.
I know it's not about. I know. I'm being sarcastic.
I know. What I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying. Even with that, it still has a real world effect. It's like the Matrix, right? It's all a game, but it has real life consequences.
Yep.
You know, like what Keep It 100 was saying earlier, like what we're dealing with now is them begging. So all of this is using non-black men to snub black men, essentially doing everything they can to appeal to primarily white men, but any man that's not black. And they will engage in these tactics of insulting black history, of demeaning black men specifically, of calling the black community Blackistan. If that's not some white racist thing, then I don't know what is. Right? Like trying to distance themselves as far away from anything associated with black, right? Like we all see those people that virtue signal, like they're passing through the neighborhood and they playing rock music as loud as possible out the window. Yep. It's not because they like rock music that much. That's virtue signaling to white people. I'm not one of them niggas, right? So
I don't fuck with y'all.
Exactly. So
hey man, I said this on the show, bro. I said this on the show. The reality of the world that we inhabit is that white men do not see black women as members of their kind. And neither do white women. They don't have the complexion for the connection. And the reality is that the babies that they produce with these white people would be Negro babies still.
Yep.
Both male and female. Yep. Most of whom would be politically and hermeneutically challenged as the children that they give birth to because they don't understand the world they live in, and they're going to be ill-equipped to tackle the problems that the world will present them with. We're talking about the fruit of black women's womb. Okay? Now, wait a minute now.
Go ahead.
If you marry and reproduce with a white man, you still give birth to the same Negroes that you hate. And that's the tragedy of this shit. In other words, the problem is not black men's necessarily their niggerness, but your niggerness. Because they have a biological problem that they'll never be able to overcome. I mean, that's just that's the truth. They are Negro manufacturers. Now, I don't know, like a woman can't sit there and decide, you know, like buying either Fruit Loops or, you know, cornflakes, whether they're going to have a boy or a girl. They can't make that decision. You can't choose that. And this goes back to the dial test. This is why I showed it. Some of us are psychotic. That's like Joy DeGruy came out with this video, you know, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We got post-traumatic slave syndrome, PTSS, a lot of us. And the question is, how do you remedy it? Well, you can't fuck your way out of it. I mean, it's possible, but you would have to have wholesale cooperation of the predominant population, which you don't have. I'm sorry, you just don't have it. Now, that might sound fucked up for me to say it, but it's just the reality. Now, what you did have was the wholesale acts of white men having wanton sex with black women and then leaving the little nigger babies, half mulatto babies, to be raised by the women that they had them with. and then they spurned them. That's a bastard nigger. That's not my baby. Or if they did take care of them, they took care of them from a fucking distance. Or they made them free, but they still didn't give them full social standing in the society in which they live. I mean, I'm just keeping it 100. Or they abuse you like they did the Barge kids and shit. He was fucking his own son. Sexually abusing his own kid. Not to say black men don't ever do this shit, but I mean, you know, you got a case study right there to the Barge family.
You should hear these biracial. You should hear these biracial stories that from these younger chicks that are just Generation Z. Because I mean, I could speak firsthand about the stories that I've heard about these white stepfathers. Man, this shit is erroneous. Like, this shit is ridiculous. Talking about sexual assault, domestic violence, physical violence, child violence. Talking about she getting beat on and her little sister. She trying to stop the little sister. She getting fucking a black eye, getting bruised up, getting beat up by not even the stepfather, the damn biological father. This motherfucker all perky and he off alcohol and all type of shit, going nuts on the family. Cause you know he kind of on some racist shit too at the same time, calling the police. He didn't already tried to disassociate from his kids twice. This nigga been 3 times out of rehab. I mean, this shit is ridiculous. Like, it's unnerving, Gigi. Like, honestly,
it's unnerving, but it's reality. It's the reality of colonization and enslavement. It's the reality. This is Stockholm Syndrome sort of shit. Oh, the Nazis weren't that, like, that's like the Jews would say, well, the Nazis weren't that bad, even though they're gassing them by the millions. Over a superficial, or, you know, like the people who, you know, in the academy, particularly Jim Sedanis, he calls it arbitrary set theory, where you arbitrarily pick a feature or a characteristic of an outgroup, right? And you use that in order to justify their genocide. And what you're seeing in a lot of instances when you're talking about black men, and women are usually non-threatening to the status quo of the patriarchal society. They just not. They never have been. And this is why what Count Sekou basically said is relevant to some extent. Like, they know that they're not going to create any uprising. And not to say that black women won't participate in an uprising, because many will. But it'll be many motherfuckers, like, you know, like you saw the movie Django. It'll be many of them, like Samuel Jackson, the character in Samuel Jackson's role, who'll they'll turn the tables and play on the other side.
Green Gorilla, there's something important to say to what you're saying. There is a movement, what's being coupled with the black femininity movement or the black woman empowerment movement that's going on right now is a push to have black women participate in those protests, in those riots less and less, right? To rest in, they couple it with like that rest in your femininity thing. They're kind of putting that in that lane where it's like, no, let the men protest. That's not us anyway. It's their lives anyway. You know, a couple of years ago, with Freddie Gray, there was I guess during the protest, there was a couple that had their daughter out there, and black women, these particular black women were throwing a fit because they're like, y'all got her out here looking like a boy and whatnot, and she's in this protest. She need to be at home learning how to be an upper middle class Karen, right? And like this is a thing right now. I don't even know where this, because I agree with Pookie. In the long run, they're just gonna be discarded by these white dudes.
Bro.
But right now, where they are psychologically, it really is attempting to grab as much of upper middle class white femininity as humanly possible, and they're willing to do anything for it. Like, and when I say anything, I do mean anything for it.
Look, man, we don't. Oh man, the mental images that you just said with anything that just that, because I mean, just imagine.
I meant it the way I said it.
I know how we, brother. Because just imagine what those Generation Z women are having to do to those dudes just to keep them. I mean, one of those white dudes, man, he just looked like one of those frail, skinny gamer dudes that be doing all that weird shit back in high school and ain't really social and like even more antisocial than everybody else. But even still, just for a basic Brad, a basic cheddar bar, even for that level of guy, like, I mean, you sucking and sliding, you doing all type of shit. You doing shit that you can't even tell your mama. You doing
Pookie,
shit you can't
simplest
even tell
answer in
your
the world.
you doing shit you can't even tell your friends,
Pookie,
nigga.
Pookie, wait. Simplest answer in the world. Green Gorilla already know where I'm going with this. He's
Where you
white.
going? Oh yeah.
He's white. That's it. That's all it gotta be. Beginning, end. He's white. He's
Even if I
white
make
in a
more,
white racist society.
even if I make more money than
How
that nigga,
much
bigger than that
more?
nigga, physically stronger,
How much more? You and I'm not.
nigga, three
You
times as
know what
much.
this? You know it. Look. You know how much more you would probably have to make up for his whiteness in their mind.
Infinity
You
times a million.
you see what I'm saying? So like what you're seeing is a culmination of what happens when they're in an echo chamber for the better part of a decade. Social media been popping like in this level for the past 2 decades, but over the past decade with Twitter and Instagram and the YouTube comment section really popping, this is that echo chamber number one. This is the swirler and divestment movement number two, and this is them coming into their own and garnering hundreds of thousands of subscribers and viewers, if not millions. And they're all over the internet just regurgitating these talking points over and over again. So it was younger Xers that started this crap online, right? You got the millennials and now the Gen Z. Now the real issue with Gen Z is y'all grew up with the internet. So y'all been consuming this type of entertainment or information, whatever you want to call it, for y'all entire lives. So you're 20, so y'all been eating this for the past 20 years. Your female counterparts have been eating this for the past 20 years. They've been following Chrissy and all those other content creators, Crystal Cares and name them. They've been following those women since they've been on the internet for give or take the past 10-ish years. So you're talking about a little girl, a young woman that's 20 years old. She's been watching this type of stuff since she was 10, maybe. You see what I'm saying? So like anything is better than a black man in that respect. And yes, they are willing to go through whatever with the white dude. And what you said earlier is 100% true. In the next decade or two, we will see some of them with the mixed kid. I would argue most of them won't even have the mixed kid. They're just gonna have horror stories from a white dude or a Latino dude that they were with. That's the worst, right? They're gonna be dumped back in the black community without the mixed kid, without the ring, just with horrible horror stories, and then she's gonna be even more bitter and angry than when she left. I'll pause right there. Go ahead.
Pretty much, cause she ain't got nowhere else to go. There's only one other spot. Like, bitch, we can't just like put you in a ship and then, like deposit you on Mars or somewhere else. We only got one rock, so there's only so much space on it, and your complexion kind of blends in with the rest of us. So you gonna get tossed back into the crab barrel. I don't know where you think you're going, but you're not going nowhere. And ain't nobody worried about your ass anyways, cause we done tried to get rid of you the last 30 years. But oh no, you wanted to go out and try to level up, and you brought
real
this
quick,
little
Pookie, because,
yellow hair.
DC says this all the time, right? A brother in this space, he says it's a forced classification. I think this is where Green Gorilla is going also. All the things that these people are doing, the whole I'm my own man, see me as an individual, everybody's mad at other black people for being in this forced classification, like it's black people that put you in the forced classification in the first place, right? So like you were saying about the crab in the barrel, everybody's talking about the other crabs in the barrel. Oh, y'all crabs in the barrel, y'all trying to hold me down. What about who put you in the barrel in the first place, number one? And then who keeps on stuffing you back down every time you try to climb up? No one ever talk about that. Everybody always talk about the other crabs in the barrel. How did you get there? And then who's keeping you in there? Is it really the other crabs in the barrel? I seriously doubt it, right? But that's somewhat of what we're dealing with. So you see black girls engaging in this. You see older black women engaging in this. Black men and black boys engaging in this. Some of it is colorism. Some of it is class. Some of it is this new gender. Well, this level of gender warring, right? Where you really got sisters talking about aborting black sons. All of this foolishness is Negroes trying to run from being black and failing at it, and then getting even more angry with the black community that you failed to not be black anymore. Anyway.
Yeah, so, I'm going to quote something from Frantz Fanon that he wrote in The Wretched of the Earth. And he's not just talking about, men when he says, because he's speaking about black women particularly as well. But even more so, he's talking about black women. Because he says, whether one is dealing with Mayit Capicia of Martinique or with Nini of St. Louis, the same process is to be observed. It's a bilateral process, an attempt to acquire by internalizing, them assets that were originally prohibited. It is because the negress feels inferior that she aspires to win admittance into the white world. In this endeavor, she will seek the help of a phenomena that we shall call affective erethism. This work represents the sum of the experiences and observations of 7 years. Regardless of the area I have studied, one thing has struck me. The Negro enslaved by his inferiority, the white man enslaved by his superiority alike, behave in accordance with a neurotic orientation. Therefore, I have been led to consider their alienation in terms of psychoanalytic classifications. The Negro's behavior makes him akin to an obsessive neurotic type. Or, if one prefers, he puts himself into a complete situational neurosis. In the man of color, there is a constant effort to run away from his own individuality, to annihilate his own presence. And look, what it means to me is, you see this, how do you annihilate your own individuality? You perm your fucking hair. Because that's not how your shit grows naturally. You perm it. You put weave in it. You try to conceal it. You try to obliviate your own inferiority. That's neurotic behavior. But see, nobody wants to talk about this shit anymore. At least Frantz Fanon was willing to talk about it. These new scholars, these new jack motherfuckers, they won't say shit about it because they don't want to be offensive to women.
Green Gorilla.
I mean, and this to me is a fucking tragedy. Like, I mean, it even applies to men as well. But we can't even have honest, open, candid conversations about racism and this crazy shit that's going on in our culture anymore because no one dares to ask the question for fear of being labeled something regressive while we're totally engaged in pathological and neurotic behavior. And this shit is happening not just in the United States, it's happening in Africa. It's happening in the Dominican Republic. It's happening in fucking places all over the world. Where you got black folks who are really actually neurotics, pathological neurotics, seeking to obliviate their own individuality, their own essence in the universe, their own place in the world by concealing it. But nobody is actually, like confused or, like lulled to sleep by the rules. Anybody that sees a black woman with some fucking long ass, silky ass hair know that that's not some real shit. They know it. Like it's like you can see it and you know it. But even black men prefer that shit. They prefer a woman with straight hair and shit like that.
Real quick,
go ahead.
But it gets even worse than what you're saying because, and I agree with the scholars from back in the day, but it gets even crazier now. The sisters are dreaded up. They froze out. They might have their hair wrapped, their natural hair wrapped. They got a nose ring on. They got their onks on, and they got a white boyfriend. We went all the way crazy land now. They got a white boyfriend that they swear by, right? With their natural hair or their dreads out, and then they'll tell you that you didn't want them because they were dark skinned or you ain't Bill Wakanda, so why should they even consider dating you in the first place? That's what we are now. We're in cuckoo land now.
But you know what? Like, look, at the end of the day, you got some women who believe that they being conscious with all this shit. But at the end of the day, the actions, it's one thing for you to love a person because you love that person. It's another thing for you to love a person because you're trying to get away from something. At the end of the day, I can understand you trying to get away from a fucked up behavior or, I don't like this individual or some shit like that. But at the end of the day, are black women bossy and ignorant as fuck? Yeah, a lot of them are. And it's a cultural issue, okay? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to run to Miss Ann just to get away from the nigga. Mm-hmm. I'm not. That's me, though. A lot of guys out here can be, they might disagree. I don't think you're going to find safety in white women either. No. Them motherfuckers can be just as nasty and diabolical. You heard what this Amber Heard bitch did to Johnny Depp? Yeah. She shit in his bed, cut his finger off. You got Bobbitt who cut a man's dick off. Like, these women ain't just out here being kind and pure and nice and submissive either.
I'm gonna need these.
A lot of these women some straight bitches as well.
I need you, fellas out there, black fellas. I need you brothers to understand that if you're looking for a place to safety, I need you to understand this one rule and one fact only. There is no safety. There is no safety. So you can go ahead and just let that go now. Just let it go peacefully. Don't fight. Don't argue. There's no safety. Wherever you go, there is going to be a lot of issues. Because all that nice and cute talk, that's just game, sir. That's all that is game. Because to be honest, most of these chicks, and I would say majority, if not all, know what it is. They all know what it is. Most of these white
Pookie,
chicks, they
tell
know
them
what
about
it
the
is.
Asian girls and the white girls in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, they'll be beating shit in the Bay Area. They'll be beating on you and bust you upside your head and call the police on your ass, and you'll be the one getting shot or arrested or getting manhandled by the police because you got called because you got a fucking 911 call from your Asian girlfriend or your white girlfriend because your ass thought you left the community and you
Negroes
got
think
used
Amber
on.
Heard is rare.
Niggas think they can get a picket fence and get a dog and
Shout
think
out
they
to
just
Big
gonna live
Kev,
happy.
man.
Y'all confused me.
Shout out to Big Kev, man. Stop looking for a woman to submit to, man.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you, Big Kev.
Stop looking for a woman to
Grow
submit
up.
to, nigga. Stop looking for your mama, man.
Pick your nuts up, man. God damn. Pick
Stop
your
looking-
damn nuts up, man.
Stop
Hold
looking for
your
your
own nuts.
Stop looking for your mom, man.
It's like they holding their nuts by the bag, like walking up to the white woman with her, and she got her hand out, like, can you hold these for me? Like, come on, man. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you should already know what this is, man. We've been dealing with this shit since we're born, and it gets to a point that once you get past like 10 or 12, you kind of get so used to racism that you just block that shit out mentally most of the time. And then once you get like 19, you don't even really give a fuck.
What I will say though, Pookie and Green Gorilla and Keep It 100, there is a silver lining, right? The level of exposure, right? Their own arrogance. I say this quote all the time, Pookie. You heard me say it, where the internet is exposing us all. And it's not really that the internet's exposing us all; it's that we're exposing ourselves on the internet. The beauty of this time, we understand that much of what black women have is it's because of the death and the oppression of black men, and they use that as fuel for their particular subgroups and sub movements. That's going to become increasingly difficult as the splintering off of us becomes more and more evident. It's not that it doesn't already exist, but it's becoming more and more evident. And enough white people are picking up on kind of what BLM did, where the death of primarily straight black men, and then you use it for your own subgroups advancement, right? Enough people are picking up on that it's going to become more difficult for them to do that. Likewise, enough non-black people are picking up, and they see these comments online, right? This is one of my things with like making comments online and the type of videos you produce. Other people are also watching and consuming this content, and it makes it very difficult for these particular women to make the argument that no, the reason why I want to date non-black men, or the reason why I'm in a relationship with a non-black man, is because black men are so horrible. Yeah, but then you start talking about aborting black sons, and then you start calling black men bullet bags, and then you start talking about being turned on by watching black men get beat up by white police officers. See, then it becomes super difficult to make the moral high ground argument in the black community, or the black woman's the backbone of the black community type of arguments, when you also get caught saying abort black sons and we're better than these black men and maybe we're different species. All of these things I'm reciting, by the way, I've actually heard
come on,
or
bro.
read.
Come on, bro. Look, let's just be honest about this shit. Like I said in the Divester video, go back and watch that video if you haven't. Because I said I got some ish. I think the name of the video is I got some ish to say about divestors.
Yeah, we talking about that.
Yeah, I was there.
Man, look. Here's the truth about the matter, man. Black women are Negro fabricators and incubators, bro. That's the facts. So they can fuck who they want. It doesn't matter. You're still going to produce Negroes. This is just the truth. So you're going to produce what you hate. Now, it might be a little mulatto baby or whatever the case may be, but like Barack Obama's a mulatto baby. What the fuck does he look like?
Yo.
Does he look like a straight up mulatto baby? Or he look like an average typical Negro?
He look like a mulatto Negro. That's what the fuck he look
He
like.
look like a light-skinned Negro. It's 100 niggas that look like Barack Obama in my hood, bro.
Yep.
He looked like a black pair of jeans that was washed in some bleach. I tell you that.
But most black folks, it's a lot of light-skinned black folks, right? It's some dark black folks. But at the end of the day, here's the reality, bro. To a white person, that he's a nigga.
Yo, check this out.
He's a nigga. It's just what it is. At the end of the day, he is a nigga.
GG.
Okay? At the end of the day, that's how they're going to be perceiving. Now, he might talk white. He might have been raised by a white woman and might be, from a certain cultural milieu or whatever they so-called makes him more palatable to the average white person or a group of white people. They feel like, okay, well, he's embraced and adopted our culture wholeheartedly or whatever. But at the end of the day, they still called him a monkey. They still said he wasn't my president. They still blocked everything he tried to come up with, not because they thought it was a bad idea, but because they thought he was a nigga. And Trump, when he said "Make America Great Again," you know what the fucking thing was about. It wasn't about, I know it was a slogan used by conservatives in the 80s and shit like that. We already know, okay? But let's not it was a dog whistle, bruh.
Yeah, but
it was a dog whistle, bruh. It is what it is.
Why we talking about Obama? Obama is a product of a white woman and a black man. Check this out.
You're raised by white racist grandparents.
Check this out, though. Check this out. So here we are. We're 4 black men on YouTube talking about this, right? This thing where black girls are letting white boys pull them by the hair and massa and all this other shit, right? Like I said earlier, this is, and allow me to speak freely, sir. This is, bitter bitch bullshit, bitter bitch blabber, bitter bitch shit. At the end of the day, all of this swirling and, abort black babies or male babies or whatever, this isn't shit that they can do. It's just bullshit, right? It's just shit to get on the internet and cap and say to piss niggas off, right? It's, all this, oh, we gonna divest and all this. Them motherfuckers don't want you. They don't want you, right? So it's nice to run your mouth and, it's like how I'm in some of these groups on Facebook and like, we're gonna kill all the Pookies. All this shit is mental masturbational bullshit.
I agree.
It's mental masturbation. One day, all of us are gonna get us a white man and fuck y'all niggas. Right. Cool story.
But you know what? The only thing.
Story.
But the only thing I'm trying to say is, man, genocide happens this way. This is how genocide happens, man. Genocide happens when you got groups of people who feel like they can split off and splinter off from their own group.
Bro, at the end, listen, check this out. Check this out. All the slavery that we've been through, all the white masters fucking black women, and we still look black as fuck. Right? All that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All that miscegenation, right? And we still here looking black as shit. You can't breed us out. They get bred out. That's genetics 101. Right. So check this out. I don't give a fuck what they do. I got the seed. I can create black people anywhere, anytime I'm ready to. Okay? If they fuck with anybody, they will produce a miscegenated whatever the fuck, right? And that shit'll get broken down into whatever. I can create black people wherever I want. Not only that, I told niggas, black women in America do not have a monopoly on blackness on planet Earth.
Facts.
You can get you a black woman in Central America, in South America, in Africa, anywhere you want to go, Middle East. Black people are the majority genotype on planet fucking Earth. On planet Earth. And if a bitch don't rock with your program, you pick another one. If that bitch starts acting up, then you
ask
fuck
it from
her friend.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
there you go.
At the
I mean,
end
it's really that simple. But you know, the only reason I wanted to discuss it is because I haven't really discussed anything as of late. You know, and tomorrow I'm probably gonna come talk about you know, the Shaquille O'Neal situation, which to me, you know,
that's another one.
That's,
oh
you know,
my
like,
God!
Because you know, like, you know, it's like, okay, I was doing some research today about the Kennedy family. Okay, and as it turns, there's no real hard evidence to demonstrate that, you know, the Kennedys amassed their fortune by bootlegging. So I'm gonna take that off the table. But I did do some investigation into the Trump family, and I did find that he had ties with the mafia. Not so much Joseph Kennedy, but definitely, you know,
the grandfather.
The Trump grandfather did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Trump.
Yeah.
He had some connections to the mafia, the mob. Okay, but these are guys who didn't say to their sons, "Oh, nigga, when you turn 18, you're on your own. Fuck you. You got to earn your own keep." They was like, okay, I'm going to drop you a meal, or you're going to be in my cultural circle, my social circle, and I'm going to have connections for you so that those connections can turn into, you know, generational wealth and affluence and influence. But niggas don't think like that. Niggas come from a mind state of deprivation. Like you ain't gonna take you ain't gonna take my shit. Like when you die, you gonna take the shit with you like a fucking Egyptian pharaoh.
Hey,
like,
bro,
I mean, you know, like okay, and then you know, I'm not gonna talk too much about it today because tomorrow I want to talk about it. But I want you to think about this, you know, and then I'm gonna let y'all have the floor, and then you know, in about 5 to 10 minutes, we about to break out of here because I'm almost at the 2-hour mark. But your children value what you value. And they deal with the world primarily through the way that you socialize them to deal with the world. So, for example, if you fill up the hole in your soul by buying new shit, like you feel bad, so you go buy a fucking pair of shoes or sneakers, now you feel all better or something like that. They gonna think that, you know, like, through osmosis, through your enculturation, that's how they deal with their own pain and their own, you know, depression or whatever the case may be. If it's that you turn to substances in order to try to fill the hole up, they'll do that shit too. So if you got value systems that you teaching your children that you don't want them to have, then change your own fucking values. Change your own value system. Change the way that you think and the way you approach material shit. Because it seems like, you know, like, to be quite honest, a lot of guys, man, think that, you know, they become men by accumulating material shit. Like, I am a man to the extent to which I acquire material shit. And my job and my, you know, my so-called, you know, my profession or whatever.
Right.
At the end of the day, man, like, look, at the end of the day, bro, if you don't want your kid to be a fucking leech and a consistent mooch, don't turn him into one. Set that motherfucker, give him adoration based upon his achievement and what he can do in the world. That's how you give your love or show or demonstrate your love. Not by buying a whole bunch of bullshit and being absent while you out fucking other bitches. You understand what I'm saying?
See,
or don't get mad because you left your kid with his mama, or she, you know, don't get mad that your son been enculturated by a woman who basically has the same mindset. Now I understand you want to cut that bullshit off because nobody wants to be used, especially if you're a father. Okay, like you just got a son with his hands out, but don't accept your daughter with her hands out either. You got to be doing something too. Ain't no motherfucking free rides. But I mean, at the same time, you still need to be doing as much as you can to make sure that your children are successful and that they become like a JFK. You think Joseph Kennedy was like, well, 18, fuck him. You think Donald Trump daddy was like, when he turns 18, fuck him. When he turned 18, he gave him $1 million.
Literally. So did Mitt Romney's dad, George Romney.
Right.
Now, I ain't saying the average black man got $1 million to give to his son, but I know fucking Shaq do.
Yeah.
Nigga,
I'm just saying, what is the mindset, what is the thought process that black people are engaged in to where they feel like, particularly, that they got to cut their male children off to fucking live in a goddamn cesspool?
They learned that.
Trying to agree with the women.
They learned that.
One, Bill Gates' dad was one of his first investors, and Mark Zuckerberg's dad was like, I think Mark Zuckerberg's dad was his first investor, I think, but I know he was one of the first people to help him with Facebook. So like, what Green Gorilla is saying is 100% true. This throwing your son out to the wolves and pampering your daughter, like, and then we gotta end up dating these chicks,
right?
White, black, Asian, Latino, or otherwise. I'll shut up after this. It's not only the women that are turning these girls into spoiled brats. It's also their fathers with ideas like what Shaq is saying, where you throw your sons out to the wolves, and then your daughters, you pamper them, you let them live with you for however long, and then now you wonder why she's 30-something, not married. Who's gonna marry that? You done spoiled to the death, you know? I'll pause right there. That's why you got Mayweather's daughter out here stabbing niggas because they don't love her. Oops. But yeah, go ahead.
Check
this out. We gonna carry this conversation up tomorrow, because that's the conversation I want to have next. You know, about this whole concept of like, fuck my son. You know, like, okay, my daughter, she can ride. You know, I'll give her support all my life, but my son, that nigga, you know, he gotta fucking get it out the mud. Like I got it out the mud. Like that's what wealthy families do. Like that's what the Kennedys and the Trump families do, or the Bezos and the Gates. That's what they do.
And even if he does, why the fuck would he want to share that shit with you? I gotta have the mud, right? I gotta have the mud. I ain't gotta get nothing to you.
You get out what you put in. If you don't put shit into your sons, but other than you gotta make it, nigga, on your own, then what the fuck are you? Then we gotta reinvent the wheel over and 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 over again. So you got every generation of young Negroes, they gotta figure it out for themselves.
Hey, you know something? Can I add something to that story? And you know what's kind of interesting? Y'all brought that up, and you know, God bless the dead. My grandfather, he passed away. So you know, he was estranged for a while from us. You know, so I kind of met him in my later years, and you know, so he got cancer or some illness. He came to live with his son, my uncle. And they fell out, but he left and went to live with his mother. But the selfishness of his generation, and this ain't an indictment on all baby boomers, but you know, he had grandchildren that was going to college. I was doing a startup business with a store, and he used to come around and, you know, check up on me. But on his way out dying, like, he purchased a BMW, something he didn't need. But you have a granddaughter, younger grandchild, that's 2 grandchildren that's on their way to college, and you're on your deathbed. And on your deathbed, on your way out, I'm gonna buy me a BMW. Like, so the selfishness, and you're 100% right. So you might not have $1 million to give your child, but even a used car that you don't need no more, that can get them from point A to point B, because you know most places you have to travel to look for employment if there isn't mass transportation. Even just giving a car will get a long way.
For sure.
Raising these
For sure. I mean, you know, like, look, we are a community in crisis.
Yeah.
We have material deprivation. We have psychological, pathological issues. The last thing, I mean, and Shaq's son's gonna be all right. I believe he fucking virtue signaling when he's saying the shit he's saying to get cool points from
real niggas be all right. He giving him money. He's giving him money. Don't let that bullshit fool you. He's paying their whole lifestyle, giving them connections. They're getting money.
But Pookie, don't miss what Green Girl is saying. Imagine what it is to still say that to virtue signal. So who are you virtue signaling to? Black women,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
women. So it's even worse than the initial conversation we're having. If Shaq is truly virtue signaling, that's even worse than if he was telling the truth, honestly, in my mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Green Girl. Go ahead.
Black
So
men
anyway,
is-
man,
go
look,
ahead.
we're going to close it. We're going to wrap this up, man. I'm going to let y'all have the last word. I'm going to start with Samir. Make it brief. And then we up on out this thing. And then Mr. Z, then Sir P, and then Marcus Aurelius. Then we going to be up out of this thing.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Listen, charity starts at home, and unfortunately, home is basically wherever you plant your feet at. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're a single man, it's to the point where it's like it feels like sometimes it feels like we're on our own. I mean, unfortunately, they basically split the race within female male, and until basically both genders get on par, black men just basically gonna have to put everything on our shoulders and do the heavy lifting just for our own survival.
Yes, sir. Mr. Z, go ahead and throw some words on us, man. Thank you for coming, Samir.
Thank you very much for having me up, Green Gorilla. Um, Finishing off this, it's supposed to be something like $68 trillion wealth transfer to millennials in this upcoming decade or so from their older ex or parents, their boomer parents or super young, not silent. I mean, greatest, they don't count. But yeah, so $68 trillion to millennials. 2% of that, I mean, yeah, 2% of the, I'm saying it backwards. 40% of people, 40% of the wealth is going to 2% of millennials. So they got to have like real money, like crazy money. And in that environment, you're not going to leave your kids anything. All right, your kids is under a bridge. I ain't saying it's your fault, but it kind of is your fault. And then going to the subject matter at hand. This movement, it's a mixture of ignorance and arrogance and aspirationalism to insane degree. You could add delusion in there also. It's frightening. As a 35, soon to be 36-year-old, it's frightening to see black people under the age of 40 for the most part begging essentially to be to be white people's plaything, to be non-black people's plaything, right? Like Pookie said earlier, we know how this is gonna end. Most of these girls are not gonna they're gonna be dumped right back into the black community. They're not gonna have the mixed kid, they're not gonna have the wedding ring, they're just gonna have, like I said earlier, horror stories. And it's frightening. Y'all talk to y'all sons or your nephews to not end up with these broken ass chicks in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Because a brother that goes after a white dude who she was doing these type of things with and to, I feel sad for him. And I'll end right there. Great topic as always, Green Gorilla. And yeah, this is this is sad. Oh my God. Yeah, I'll just end right there.
All right, my brother, man. Well, thank you for coming by. And, I'll be on tomorrow to talk about Shaq and talk about this subject a little more deeply. Feel free to come by if you want. All right?
I will.
Sir Truth, man. Hit us with some truth, man.
Right. I know you're gonna talk about the Shaq subject more in depth, but I just want to say in short terms on that, he is in fact lying. He is lying. That's just it. He's lying. He's far too much money for him not to be lying. And any other circumstance would be highly improbable for me, based off my knowledge of how NBA players from the CBA all the way up to the NBA level live their lives and how they deal with their children. Nah, that's bullshit, sir. On to this divestment movement and all the supremacy talk that's been coming out of that. To be honest, I don't even think at this point you can classify that movement even as a divestment movement, because the focus of the movement has completely shifted. The focus of divestment is not the critiques of black men or the degradation of black men and black male lives. It never was. The focus of divestment is interracial relationships with other people outside of your community. Based off that criteria, I would have to classify these women as white supremacists and not divestment or divestors. Their ideology more falls in line with a white supremacist because of the focus of the movement. And that's the reason why Crystal Harrison had to disconnect and disown a lot of the movement that she started and founded 5 years ago. Back when YouTube was much younger, you can get away with a lot more because it was more like the Wild West. A lot of her original ideology was somewhat sympathetic to the points of black male degradation, and it was at very least negligent and both completely ignorant of the plight of black men. Whether it was definitively stating the degradation of black men is necessary or not, I can't definitively say that. But I reviewed that content, and I can for sure say that it was at least very ignorant to the subject of the plight of black men, and it's very blunt and very cold and callous, very calculated. I think she tried to play a dangerous game here. I think she tried to lead a movement to combat, I suppose, the Black Manosphere's emergence, and I think that game has failed. She's lost control of this wagon because there's a lot of emotional women out there that are just damaged and just bothered by their realities that really don't have anything to do with Crystal and Karis, and beyond the fact that they've been spun up by her whirlwind of bullshit and pseudo philosophy.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate you coming by, man. I'll be back tomorrow. We can talk about this Shaq shit a little more in depth. But peace out, my brother. Marcus Aurelius, man, you want to hit us up with some last words, man? Thank you for coming by the way.
Most def. I want to address some of the comments in the chat behind, my last statements on here. But let me start here. This whole thing, that we're talking about, the massa thing. This is again another game that black women are playing just to, in their taunt black men, movement. This culture where everything that they do and they find liberating or empowering is anything that pisses us off, whether it's being fat, wearing bonnets, all of these things, anything to defy us and make us feel like we can't control them. This is just another episode of that, right? So all of this, this fear about, oh my God, we're gonna be bred out. Let me explain something to you. Let's talk a little science first. All right. The black people are the majority genetic in the world. So, my man that's talking about, oh, you can only get foundational black African women in America. I don't give a fuck about that type of shit. Now, mind you, I'm FBA. And if you're talking about rights and privileges and things of that nature, I'm with you. But when it comes to who I choose to stick a dick in and for my peace and who I choose to cohabitate with, I'll do as I please. I don't take marching orders from black women, and neither should you. And don't get fear-mongered into this bred out shit. Okay, so everybody in the chat that's saying to me that I can't create black people wherever I go, or that, in 2 generations or 3 generations, we could get bred out. Let me tell you, if white men wanted black women like that, it would have happened already. It would have happened already. You talking about 3 or 4 generations? How many generations were we enslaved for? How many? If white men wanted to procreate to the point of racial genocide with black women, it would have happened already. These photos are cute. After these white boys are done making these photos, they'll grow up and they'll marry their white women. That's what's gonna happen, fellas. They'll go and marry their white. This guy says, and Freddie Wayne says, segregation is why blacks haven't been wiped out in the United. What segregation? What's stopping white men from taking all the black women right now from black men? What's stopping them? Look at dating site metrics. Look at marriage data. White men do not marry black women like that. They don't. So say what you want in the comments, because facts are on my side, bro. If
all right,
white,
man. Hey, look.
Yeah,
I get it, man. You know, I believe that. I believe we, if it was the case that there was going to be some sort of racial, post-racial intermixing, it would. I'm not saying it would have happened already, but it would have been underway already.
But check this out. Let me end it off by saying this, right? Because somebody mentioned the one drop rule. If you want to talk that one drop rule shit, right? If you want to talk that, because he said, you know, y'all need to get off the one drop rule. That's Richard Dixon. By you guys' definition, that means none of us are black. Because damn near everybody here got a white man in their fucking lineage. If you're foundational black American, you got a white man in your lineage. So if you talking about, oh, pure black, like if you got white man in your lineage, or there's a few white men in your lineage, that means you ain't black, then none of you, most of y'all motherfuckers ain't black. If you FBA, right? Because
I get it. We all
Black Renaissance says foundational black Americans. I'm a foundational black American, and we mixed with a lot of motherfuckers over the years, over generations and generations. So we're still here, still looking black as fuck. So don't talk to me about being bred out, because it would have happened already. And if you're going by, oh, if you got a white man in your family, then, or a few in your family, then you ain't black, then none of y'all niggas is black. This was Keep It 100. Thank you, GG, for letting me on.
For sure. For sure. Hey, look, and so, you know, thank you for coming by, man. I appreciate your involvement, man. I often come on your show. You come on mine. You're always welcome, bro.
Most def.
You know
most
that.
Def.
You know that. And it's a joy to have you here, man. So, look, I'm about to go ahead and get you off and sign off and say some closing shit, okay? So, look here, man. I want to thank Hezekiah Murphy for his donation on the Cash App, and Swift for your donation on the Cash App. I appreciate that. And P. Armour, I want to give you a shout out. Thank you for your donation. And, you know, I'm sorry for being gone for so long, man. I know y'all miss me sometimes. So, you know, I'm going to make it a point to be more involved and you know, be more active in my engagement with you guys. But, you know, I appreciate you as always, man. And, you know, as it pertains to this My Massa challenge, man, I just think, you know, we fucked up, man, mentally. A lot of us. And we chasing approval and acceptance through self-abnegation. That shit ain't gonna work, man. That shit ain't gonna make us whole. So that's my viewpoint on that. And, you know, I get it, you know, that we getting taunted by it, and it's a way to, you know, try to rouse us up, you know, in particular black men, to make us feel worthless. I don't feel worthless, man. I feel like I have value. I feel like I have substance, regardless as to what somebody else is doing. And I hope, you know, at some point, you know, a lot of these people can begin to see some substance and some value in themselves. So having said all that, man, I'll holler at y'all on the next one, man. Y'all be peaceful. Till the next time. One. You feel me? Peace.